I'm going to talk to you about what motivates us to do some of the things that we do. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I think the solutions are. And then we'll open it up for any questions that you might have, because I think the most important job that we have as public servants is to listen, to take in what the people that we work for, our bosses, would like to see in their communities. And it is about being one great community. You know, sometimes we get too caught up in where the lines are, and we get too caught up where this stops and this begins. And we really should be looking at it as one great community, that as we all succeed, we will all have the success that we need. And curious that we're here in an educational institution, because everything that we want to try to do starts with education.
That's right.
Whether it's to lower the crime rate, whether it's to have better residents, better neighbors, whether it's to have a better business community. First thing I'm asked when a new business wants to come to this community is, how is the education? Because that'll be the key to attracting good, positive, professional people to come to work in that corporation. And so we need to invest more on the education piece. We need to make sure that we are working with all of our partners. And the chamber's a partner. The school system's a partner. The private schools are partners. The child care centers are partners. And we need to make sure as a community that we do that. When I became mayor of the city of Hialeah, that was my first concentration, was to reach out to all the principals, to reach out to all the schools and bring them in. I was shocked that it was the first time they had been invited to be part of the city. And then we started having conversations of how we can all work together and to improve education. And there's some great people that are teaching our children and are teaching, you know, our young adults. There's some great people. But why aren't we all working closer together? We started working closer together. And just providing them resources, providing them help, encouragement, holding functions together. That was the first step. Public safety. To be able to talk to them about public safety and how, as a city, as a community, we can help them be in a safer place. And we did that. Then we started realizing needs. You know, as a community, we cannot continue to accept that about 45% of our youngsters who start 9th grade don't finish 12th grade. And so we started thinking about, what's the solution to that? And the solution was, let's start giving them other ways, other career paths. Let's start teaching them a little bit differently. And so we started what's called today the Hialeah Educational Academy for 9th to 12th grade. And I learned early in this process, you don't call those students at risk, but they were at risk of not finishing high school. I think that's a big risk. And so we started teaching them a career path of how to become the next police officers, firefighters, paramedics, 911, communication operators in our city and in this community and in this state. And so now they learn English as if they were writing a police report. They learn science as if they were a paramedic. They learn and are interacting with good, positive role models. Our first class graduates next year. We'll probably graduate 92%. Okay? Listening and talking to parents, we realize that we have a growing epidemic in the world, in this country, in this state, in this community, and that is children with autism. And we cannot, and a lot of our parents cannot afford $50,000, $60,000 a year, $125, $150 an hour in therapy. But we as a community can't afford not to include those young men and women as part of our society. There's nothing, a lot of them can be helped, and a lot of them are going to be positive figures in our society. So in the city, I started working on how can we solve this problem. And we opened the first school last year the first public school in Dade County. First public school in Dade County for children with autism. And it's now serving as a model for other communities to come and see how we do it. Free to the parents. I have parents from Weston, I got parents from Homestead, I got parents from Doral, I got parents from all over coming there. And look how we did it, using an existing building. When I talked to Mario and Teresa about using existing buildings for things when they're not using them and how the community can prosper, we're using existing buildings in our city that housed, next year it'll be 125 children with autism. Free. And it's working. And the ratio is 3 students, 1 teacher. And it's working. And we're streamlining kids into the public school system. It's addressing the needs in our communities. When we started one more program, I'm going to talk to you one more thing about education, and I'm very proud about the things that we have done, because I think it's what the future of our community. High schoolers with learning disabilities, mental handicaps, but they're in the high school system. We started a program last year called Project Victory. And what do we do with those? Half the day they spend working in our city hall, working in our fleet department, working with department heads, beefing up their resume so that when they graduate, they can come and work for you. That you will hire them. That they can do the basic functions that you might need them to do in an office. And I have success stories on the clerical side, and I have a young man, and Orlando will probably meet him because he's going to go to my fleet department. I have a young man in less than 4 months is already changing oils on cars and changing filters, and when he graduates from high school, he's going to get a job. Because community can't just be about the ones that excel, it has to be about everyone. You know, we know the figures, even the ones who graduate, 10 years later, only 30% of them have gotten a 4-year degree. And so we need to address that, and as a community we're doing. When I am so glad to hear what Manny's doing here with education. Because what we've done is we involved our chamber in education too, and they have programs, it's called, Education to Business, so that the business community gets involved in the education. We need to do that, because the more you invest in those young men and women today, the better employees they're going to be for you tomorrow. And that's how we grow, that's how we prosper, that's how we can attract businesses from other countries. We keep on talking about being the gateway to the Americas, but quite honestly, we need to start executing being the gateway to the Americas. And part of it is going to be to better our education base. Let me tell you how I got here, and Pete talked about it. I spent 23 years what I affectionately call on the other side of the counter. And I've been a businessman, real estate development, and thanks to God and my parents and my studies, I was able to be extremely successful.